Okay, now we're going to divide. So we have to remember, how do we divide fractions? And we divide fractions by keeping the first, flipping the second, and changing to multiplication. So we call that keep, flip, change, or KFC, I've heard it called. So let's look at an example. If I have 5 over 6, and I'm going to multiply or divide that by, let's do 18, or no, let's do 10 over 18. So I'm going to keep the first, so I'm going to keep 5, 6. I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to flip the second one, and I'm going to change to multiplication. So change to multiplication, flip the second. So I get 5 times 18 all over, this should be 10, all over 6 times 10. Let's go through and see what we can cancel. The 5 will cancel with the 10 and leave a 2 on the bottom. The 6 will cancel with the 18 and leave a 3 on top. So we end up with a final answer of 3 over 2. So we're going to apply these same rules to our rational, dividing rational expressions. So our steps are, first you're going to factor the polynomial. You're going to keep the first, flip the second, and change to multiplication. Cancel common factors in the numerator and denominator, and combine any leftover into one expression. So let's start by looking at this and seeing if I can factor anything. So the 2 and the g, for 2 over g, doesn't factor, and g plus 4 over g squared doesn't factor, so we'll go ahead and switch to keeping the first, flipping the second. This is going to be g squared over g plus 4, and switching to multiplication. If I go ahead and multiply these, I get 2g squared all over g. I'm going to put this in parentheses, g times g plus 4. So I like to put parentheses around factors so that you know they go together. Because when we multiply that, that's really g times g plus 4. I go ahead and I make any canceling that I can. I can cancel the g with the g squared. So I'm left with g to the first on the top. I can't cancel, a lot of people look at this and they want to cancel the 2 and the 4. I can't do that because that 4 is in the parentheses with the g. So that is one factor, g plus 4. I can't cancel that. So we're just going to leave it as it is. And my final answer will be 2 over g plus 4. The reason why you can't cancel sometimes I like to think about regular numbers. So for an example, if I have 4 over 8 plus 5, this is really 4 over 13. If I canceled it the way with addition in there, if I went through and said, well, yeah, maybe I can simplify this and make this 1 and make this 2, that would give me 1 over 7. That's not right. That doesn't work. We have to use the proper rules. Okay, we have another one here. So our first thing is to factor. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to factor everything that I can factor. This here is difference of squares. 1 is a perfect square and squared is a perfect square, and we have subtraction, so I'm going to go ahead and factor that. So it's going to be 1 minus n, 1 plus n, all over n, divided by n minus 1. I can factor out an n on the bottom there, so I get n minus 4 on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and keep the first. Change to multiplication and flip the second. I'm going to put this in parentheses. And if I go ahead and multiply these across, I get 1 minus n, 1 plus n, n minus 4 all over n minus 1. So when I'm looking to see what I can cancel, I can see I can cancel the n's. But when I'm looking at n minus 1 and 1 minus n, they're very close, but they're not exactly the same. So we learned yesterday that we can factor out a negative 1. If I do that, I'm going to get a negative 1 out front. This becomes n minus 1. I have 1 plus n. I cancel the n, so I'm left with n minus 4. And I have n minus 1 on the bottom. Now I can go ahead and I can cancel the n minus 1s. So I get a final answer of negative 1, 1 plus n minus 4, and I cancel the bottom, so that's just like a 1, so this is my final answer. Last problem. So first thing we want to do is factor. I'm going to first rewrite this. This looks a little weird because I'm dividing by x squared plus 2x minus 3, so it doesn't really look like a fraction, so I'm going to write it over 1 to help it look more familiar to us. Now I'm really multiplying it by the reciprocal, or you can see that it's a fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and factor. I can factor out an x on the top, so I get x minus x times 1, or x minus 1. X plus 2 stays the same. I can factor the top here. I need to know what multiplies to negative 3 adds to 2. So I'll do my x here. What multiplies to negative 3 adds to 2. That's going to be a 3 and a negative 1. 3 times negative 1 gives me negative 3. 3 plus negative 1 gives me 2. So I can go ahead and factor this to x plus 3, x minus 1. And I'll have a 1 on the bottom. Now I go ahead and do the keep, flip, change. So I'm going to keep the first. I'm going to put parentheses around this. Change to multiplication. And flip the second. So let me look at what can cancel. Actually, I'll multiply these across now. So I have x minus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, x minus 1. So I need to look at what will cancel. My x minus 1s will cancel. So I'll go ahead and cancel those. And nothing else looks like it'll cancel. I can't cancel that x with anything because everything below is in parentheses with an addition sign, so I can't split those up. So this is my final answer. So I've now divided those.